There, and as usual, I'm Aaron from LastStandGamers, and welcome. So this is going to be a little bit of a follow-on video from yesterday, where I showed you the claw in all its glory. The claw. But today we're actually going to have a look at this smaller weapon that I'm calling the tracking dart. So eventually, I believe what's going to happen with the beacons is that they'll be faction bound, so enemy forces can't actually see other vessels. So imagine a situation, maybe a hostile ship's heading through your area, and you might not have the resources to actually destroy it or kill it, but you need to keep a track of it just in case it catches you off guard. This is the little weapon itself, and there's a few ways of attaching it to the enemy's hull without them knowing. So the idea is to clamp this baby on, get it over to the hostile ship, say that big yellow one over there, clamp it in, and forever you'll always know where they are in your sector or wherever they're traveling. So let's take this over here. I'm just going to show you the basic function. It's got the same function as the claw. So if we hit reverse like so, it opens up like the claw and will lock itself into a very sturdy, very confirmed sort of position. And the teeth will bite in. So we've got as much as we can of locking onto that hole, the most chance as possible. So we'll reverse that back up. And you can see the claw opens on out. And the final thing we need to prime before actually launching ourselves into that ship is the landing gear. So we'll stick auto lock on and we'll leave it to an unlimited amount. And the final thing I'm going to do to the claw is just retract its amount a little bit so it's a little bit tighter to the hull of my ship. So you could obviously launch this in a number of ways. This is just a little bit of a mock-up so I could show you. And it'd be pretty attached to even a moving vessel. So we could be heading along, travelling behind this ship here. We'd find a spot that the pilot or the captain's very unlikely to spot us attaching onto. And we just simply clip ourselves on. So then you just need to position the tracking dart. That for some reason is easier when the ship's actually moving, I've noticed. Once it's locked in place, we need to close the claws, so hit reverse on that. And then simple as that's doing that, as it's locking into position, as you can see, all we're going to do now is disengage the merge block that is down below here. So we're going to shut that one off and detach ourselves from the actual tracking dart. And wherever that ship goes, you'll be able to track and watch it. So it's not too functional at the moment due to everyone seeing the beacons, but I can see it being a real big scare for larger ships, as well as sort of pirate activity where you can keep an eye on ships and stuff. And that's it. It's a very small device and it's quite hard to detect. Hopefully I'm going to do in a later version, I'm going to actually tuck the beacon with inside the cone of the tracking dart, so maybe add some sides on so you know it muffles that glow of the beacon, you could say. It takes it down to a level where it's much harder to detect. But if we disable that anyway, we've still got a weapon that attaches to the hull, quite small, quite compact, and gives us the ability to actually track a ship as it moves between locations. So the other thing that we wanted to see was trying to attach the claw while a ship is moving. So we've got this yellow ship over there in the distance that's trying to flee from us, and we're armed up with the claw with chain. And what I'm going to try to do is get parallel to it and then come in as flat as possible. So that ship's traveling about 10 meters a second. It could be a slow transport vessel or whatever, but we're going to need to get in a position where we can angle ourselves and lock on. So we're going to make a move for it now. Now we don't want to be going too fast because we don't want to actually overshoot it, but we want to grab it in a position where we can actually do something with it when we get it. So we're lining it up with the claw. We want it to be as flat as possible to make this work effectively. So we're coming in, it's still moving, and that movement's making it a bit hard for us, but we're going to use our side thrusters to launch this to the best of our ability. And we're a bit high up and I'm going to miss it if I launch it now, so I'm going to have to launch a little bit ahead of target, I think. Okay, we're ended up coming behind it. This is not the position I wanted to be in. Okay, we're going to go for a sideways sort of launch here. I don't know how this is going to particularly turn out. Have we disengaged? We need to disengage. And we're disengaging the claw now. So this is a very strange angle for it to actually work. I'll be quite surprised if we get anything out of this. So the actual claw right hook... Oh, this is beautiful. Have we got a lock yet or anything? Okay, yeah, it looks like we've got a lock. We've got to keep up with this ship now and reverse the claw. Claws digging in. Right, absolutely beautiful. The target's still moving and we've still got the chain hooked into position. Just need to let the rest of that chain hook in. Let's turn our inertia dampeners off for a minute and actually watch what's going on. So you can see how the claw's tearing into the hull. And this is a moving target, so it would be really hard. Okay, so all we need now is some sort of boarding method. And we get aboard. Now let's try stopping this ship. This is what's going to be really hard, is actually stopping the ship with the actual chain, because last time it broke off and it wasn't good at all. So we're traveling at 7 meters a second, and we're going to need to slow that down. So we're just going to really ease off the accelerator really slowly and try to reveal the stress on that chain as slowly as we possibly can. Oh, come on. We can slow this thing down. Surely we can. Alright, we're reducing our speed, but the ship's still going. The claw's in position. Got to take this step by step now. Keep that as straight as possible as well. Okay, I'm just gonna go for the full yank, and hopefully everything goes well. Right, fingers crossed everyone, that we can actually hold this thing into place. Come on. Don't pull it. Don't pull it off. Don't pull it off. Right, we got it. We've got it. We're slowing it down. We're going to reverse thrust. Perfect. We're reversing thrust now. Make sure my inertia dampeners are on. I'm going to try to get this to a negative speed. Slow it actually down at all. Alright, okay, we're at 2.4 meters a second. And we're somehow gaining on it. So the ship has been slowed down by the look of it. We're speeding up. Right, so what's actually happening, I believe, is the ship's actually being pulled back to us when we did that jerky stop. But the thrusters inside my ship should slow it down over time. Let's just have a quick assessment of the damage that we've actually done. So we've got the claw stuck in at all 4 major points. Very nice. The bottom one looks like it's dug into quite a key area. And if we wanted to, we could add some sort of boarding pod through here. I think that's what we're going to have a look at next. We're going to try to do some boarding versions of the claw. Now, this is the final variation of the claw that I want to show you. Now, I didn't show it yesterday because I had some problems making it look, how to say, good enough to actually display, and it had a few issues on the actual boarding procedure. So, the concept of this is to disguise it as some sort of space station, so a passing ship would think nothing of going past it, and then once it has passed, it strikes. Or you could have it in a number of different configurations, attach it to a ship just like usual, and as it's disguised as a simple station, inside you have the access door where the whole of the assault team would sit and wait and prepare, and as soon as it's got locked on its target's victim, I mean, this could drift so slowly the enemy might even just think it's just a piece of debris, it's a wreck, and then all it takes is a quick fire up of the rockets and the thrusters, and it's game over. Forever's aboard. So we're going to go in for the strike now. Now we're going to accelerate up, and as you can see, the enemy ship is up there static, but obviously it could catch up with the target. But with this being more of a stealth variant, you'd want it to pass by, and then this would slowly approach. Maybe the enemy crew are preoccupied with something else, and the next minute they've got some form of weird station attaching themselves to the actual hull of the ship. So the idea of this ship is to slow down quite fast, so the landing gears get the best effect, so we can actually collapse onto the hull. And once we're on the hull, it takes seconds to breach in and open it up. So we could literally reverse that. We activate both grinders, so grinder 1, grinder 2, and we activate them on, and we can actually get a breach into this ship as soon as possible. So you can see the claws going into place. And obviously Aaron didn't breach in the finest of positions, because the actual place he chose to breach happens to have, well, not a flat surface, so the grinders can't actually get into the hull, so it might require a little bit of work of the crew disembarking out of that position, coming up into here for instance, and then eventually getting in where you can see all the claws have actually broken already, severed the corridors like arteries, and rendering the ship pretty much useless, especially if it happens to hit some sort of engine room. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and they were the interesting concepts of the claw. Now, you guys give me some really interesting ideas how to overhaul this sort of system and as well disguise it. So I'd like to thank you for them, and I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.